Took my family away from my Carolina home. Had dreams about the West and started to roam. 6 long months on a dust-covered trail. They say heaven's at the end, but so far it's been hell. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. We were digging and shifting from 5 to 5, selling everything we found just to stay alive. Gold flowed free like the whiskey in the bars. Sinning was the big thing, Lord, and Satan was a star. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. And blood lined the streets. Men were shot down for the sake of having fun, or just to hear the noise of their 44 guns. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. Now my widow, she weeps by my grave. Tears flow free for her man couldn't save. Shot down in cold blood by a gun that carried fame, all for the useless and no good, worthless claim. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're live. Hey, YouTubers and friends. Sorry, I had a a nice voice going in my ears, and I was kind of having a blonde moment. If you didn't notice there for a second, friends. Good to see you. Welcome to another Tuesday Night Hangout Live, where tonight I have Amber Monroe with me. She's a Ohioan, but she likes to get dirty and wet and look for rocks. What kind? And she prospects too. Can't beat a gal like that. You know, a prospector's dream. But no, she's the host of Rockhound Talk Live. Um, it's a podcast live show that's pretty new from what I understand, but we'll get into that more with Amber here in a few minutes. But I want to wish everyone in the chat room, uh, or greet everyone in the chat room. Boy, been working night shifts all weekend and stuff. Can you tell? I'm a little more Dean Batty than normal. Uh, but welcome all of you. First off in here was Outdoor More. Welcome. I believe you might have been here before, but I don't remember seeing you. Welcome to Tuesday Night Hangout Live. It's great to have you. Paco the King is in the house, the world's greatest moderator, Mr. Lodak. Good to see you. Ohio Relic Hunter, always good to see you, Bill, my friend. Outdoor influencer, Jeffrey, good to see you, and thanks for coming in with both your channels. I saw Outdoor Influencer Shorts in there. Make sure to hit the thumbs up for me, please. Broke ass prospector in the house. I love the music too. Thank you very much, mate. Some of my Aussie friends are in the house. Terry Marshall and Brad Welsh. Good to see you. Relic Rock recovering artifacts together. Welcome. Good to see you. And I could have swore I saw my brother from California in the house, James. No, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it to Blue Leads Nugget Hunt on the North Yuba. I'd love to. I'd love to be able to see you again, brother. Um, but one day I'll get there. Alaska Gold Hunter, good to see you again, my friend. Izzy's Pure Country Adventures, welcome. And there he is, Greg, my friend from above the border, me miners in the house. Good to see you. I did see on Amber's post about the show tonight, you commented saying you tried to be here. Always a pleasure having you in the live chat, my friend. And let me see. I thought I saw Bent Fork. There he is. Bent Fork Prospecting. Good to see you. Heath Doty Adventures. Good to see you at Freedom Fest. Thought I saw Aqua Donkey in here. It was a pleasure meeting you also. A lot of good people in the house tonight. Moon's over Miami. How you doing? Hope your spiders are well. And my work phone's going off on me. You know, usually I silence my work phone before I do this because I don't like it when it starts giving me notifications. Oh, of course. Hey, it's telling me Flash in Your Pan is live right now. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids, I know. Amber's here laughing in my ear. That's okay, though. Bold Lion, good to see you, brother. Jeff Brewer, Brewers Prospecting, great to see you, brother. It was also awesome seeing you at Freedom Fest, my friend. And let me, All Things Country, good to see you. Hobo Rob Prospecting, excellent seeing you as well. And mi amigo David Villa is in the house. ¿Cómo está usted? Bien? Bien. All right. Enough of that jibber jabber. And now I'm going to be heading over to my other studio where we'll get Amber on. I guarantee you she's much better to look at than this guy. Outdoor Wally, thanks for sharing some channel memberships. Purchase 5 channel memberships. Thank you. But don't go away. Amber and I will be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tuesday Night Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night, Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night, Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night, Hangout Live. With your host, Ed Marvin. Tuesday Night Hangout Live is a Flash in Your Pan production.
Thank you very much for putting up with all of that, Amber. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Just tell me when we go live so I know.
Oh, we're live right now, hon. We're live
Oh.
right now.
Hi, everyone.
And I just saw the Canadian hillbilly come in. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. David Alfonzati Art, good to see you. Whew. Welcome to Tuesday Night Hangout Live, Amber. I appreciate
I'm
you
excited.
joining us tonight.
You're taking my podcast guest virginity. I've never done this before, so I'm excited.
Well, you know, every host needs to have their cherry popped, and be on the opposite side of the chair.
I know. I'm used to being the host, so this is a little different. So I'm excited though.
Great, excellent. I'm glad you were game to join us.
Yes,
I
thank
have
you.
a few victims in the chat room. Me Miner's been a guest,
Yes.
and his show was really fun. And I'm
Yes.
still trying to
Did
polish
did
that
you did you
silver.
hear the story? Did you hear the story about when I interviewed him?
No.
Yeah, so when I had Greg on the show, he was on a remote area where he collects, and somebody actually called the cops on him, like on the show. It was crazy. I mean, we didn't see it. It was like all of a sudden, like we lost connection with him, and the show was ending anyways. But then we found the backstory out later. He shared with us, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's horrible!" Like he was just doing an interview. He wasn't doing anything wrong, but somebody just wanted to be a hater, and
Oh, that's
was,
hilarious. That really
yeah,
bites, but
yeah, it
that's
was interesting.
hilarious.
Yeah, like just doing an interview, and somebody heard about it just from posting and stuff, and just thought they'd be, I don't know what they thought, that they were going to ruin the show, but the show was essentially over anyways. But but when he shared the story, because we were like, what happened, because on his screen just went completely black, and so we were just like, well, we were getting ready to end anyways. And then he told us like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe all, and I'm like, what? That's crazy. But yeah, somebody tried to ruin the show, but they didn't.
Sorry, Greg, if I'm laughing at your misfortune, buddy, but that is funny. I'm still working on the silver slab he gave me. I'm trying to get
Oh
it so
yes,
sanded and polished smooth.
gorgeous silver.
You have one of your children in the room.
Who, me?
Yeah, Aiden Monroe.
He's it. Oh yeah, I was like, wait a minute, I thought you meant like in this room. I'm like, where? Yeah, my youngest is watching. Hey, Aiden.
Hi, Aiden. Welcome to Tuesday Night Hangout Live.
Supporting his mama.
What a guy. What a guy. What a guy.
Yeah.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah, he is. And I try to bring him along on my adventures. He's one of those kids that goes with the flow. So I know he doesn't always enjoy it, but I know that one day when he gets older, he'll reflect on our adventures and exploring and collecting. And I think that he'll, you get to that point in life where, life gets tough, and especially when we're having issues with coping, and being able to connect with nature is just, for me personally, is just one of those things that I need. And so I hope that my children one day, if they have a hard time coping, they can use that as a coping skill versus other things that, aren't maybe so healthy. And so hopefully he'll think about the times that we had together, and, we'll use that to help him cope, and then maybe he'll want to actually enjoy it.
Wow. I saw pictures of you two on your, one of our last trips.
Yeah.
When you went down with the crystal collector and stuff to Georgia.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people that like to bring people together, and I was last fall, I was just thinking about the next rock hounding season and what trips I want to put together. And I reached out to some of my Rockhound friends, and one of them had some land that he was pretty sure there were a lot more crystals underground, because he was finding a lot on the surface. And so I put a group of us together. And one of the prospectors who prospects in North Carolina had said that he wanted to meet another prospector that prospects in South Carolina. And so I was like, okay, let's see if I can put it together. And I didn't know, his name is Amos. I didn't know that Amos and crystal collector Brian, I didn't know that they had went like years back. And so it ended up like, it started off as a small just gathering. It turned into more people. And it was, the crystal collector came, he brought an excavator. and we tapped
Nice.
into like virgin land and found so many crystals. There's so much. We know that there's amethyst there because they had found amethyst on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just so much more to discover. But it was really exciting weekend for the landowner to see, you know, what's under there, or the prospect of what's more to discover, and to be a part of that. It was, and to have my son to be a part of that. It was a magical weekend. So yeah, it was great.
Sounds
I
like
like
it.
to travel all over, anywhere I can. So many more places to go, but in the last couple of years, I think I've hit, oh, I don't know, 16 or 17 states, and tons of locations. Slowed down a little bit, but gonna hopefully come to some new places this summer. So I'm actually, for my birthday's coming up, and I'm gonna be heading up to Greg's Way.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
gonna go up to Canada. Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah.
I personally think everyone in our lifestyle, rock hounding, prospecting, detecting, we all have wanderlust.
Oh yes.
Wanderlust, wonderlust. I think
Yes.
we all are
You
infected
just,
by it.
if you could have all the money in the world, I would literally just explore, like just discover and explore. You know, like that's all I want to
Oh,
do.
if I had the money and time, I'd be doing what I've been wanting to do since my kids were kids. And that's travel, prospect,
Yeah.
travel,
Yes.
rockhound, travel.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
I blame it on my dad though. He was a collector
Was he?
and California historian and a
Nice.
big token collector, history teacher. We talked a little about my mom and grandmother. They were nurses, but
Yeah.
yeah, my dad gave me wanderlust because when we were younger, uh, my mom would work outrageous hours so she could bank time, right? And
Right.
every summer when my dad was off school teaching, we'd go travel 4 to 6 weeks every summer.
Oh, that's so
So by
cool.
the time I was even in high school, I've been to all the lower 48s
Oh, that's
and
sweet.
a lot of the lower part of the provinces of Canada into a little bit of mainland Mexico. I was born and raised in Southern California. I was a surf bum, so I'd venture down to Baja to surf every chance I got.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How and why did you end up in Ohio?
Um, I'll blame it on the woman that's behind my green screen back here. You know,
That's a good reason.
the
No, that's a good
things
reason.
guys do for the women they love are crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy because I'm like California, Ohio, California, Ohio. But you got California, Ohio, and a good woman. Yeah, that weighs more.
Well, I moved from California up to Washington State. And I'd love to live back west again because I have my brothers in the chat room. My foster brother, James Van Cleef, love seeing you in here. Uh, he still lives in the motherlode country of California. And I
Nice.
have good friends in Oregon and Washington. And I'd love my grandchildren and my two of my children are in Washington. But the cost of living there,
Yes. Yes. Oh,
plus
Ohio's pretty cheap.
the state's politics on the whole West Coast, I don't know. I know we don't get into politics on Tuesday Night Hangout Live, but when they're making everything illegal except breaking and entering and armed robbery and everything like that, you know, it's
Yeah. The cost of living definitely is one plus living. I don't know about Southern Ohio, but Northwest Ohio for sure. Which is where I live. That is, when I hear about what some people pay and, rent, mortgage, just even groceries, which I already think is expensive. But when I hear about other places, I'm like, holy crap. Like, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I hear you. I'm in West Central Ohio, about an hour and a half south of you, and it ain't bad. I buy my meat from a local farm.
Nice.
I try to use farmer markets for vegetables and stuff, or my better half. And, yeah, food's more expensive than it was, but I can't imagine how crazy it is,
It
like
is out west.
out
Yeah.
west. Yeah,
Yes.
along with gas, I
Yeah.
filled up my tank today at 3.45 a gallon, where I think my kids are paying six something or some god
What? Are
awful
you
price
kidding
in
me?
Washington
Holy
for fuel.
crap. That's crazy.
My brother James, how much is gas in California right now in the Big Valley, in San Joaquin Valley? Should see food prices in Ontario.
Oh
Well,
yeah, I mean, I was surprised the last time I went up to Ontario. Well, I wasn't surprised, but I guess I kind of was. I knew it was more expensive, but
now Hobo
when you
Rob's
actually spend it, it's different.
right. Hobo Rob's in Oregon, and he says it's 4.13 a gallon there now.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
oh wow, I should go down to Alabama. My friend
How
David
much is it down
Bogan
there?
is 3.09 a gallon in
Woo,
Bama.
woo, that's good.
Hey,
Yeah,
Aaron, how
I
you
noticed that.
doing? Gold is where you find it, Aaron.
Oh, hey, what's up, Aaron? I know Aaron.
Aaron's a good guy. He's been on my show a couple times, even was a co-host one
Oh,
time.
cool. Nice.
Now, maybe, would you mind if I used you for uh, an advocate for Tuesday Night Hangout Live and get the crystal collector? Maybe we could get him on both our shows, or has he been on your
Oh, yeah.
show yet?
He hasn't been on my show, but he's anticipating me asking him soon. when I
I,
saw
I
him last, he was like, he was doing his live when we were in Georgia, and he was like, yeah, and Amber should be having me on her show soon. I just figured everybody knows him, so I was like, I was just trying. A lot of my guests, I I'd like to help, maybe people become more aware of them if they aren't aware of them. And so I was kind of keeping it more and just, I don't want to say like Brian's not everyday people because he's hella chill and he's good people, but just like, the everyday person that's out there collecting that's kind of small on social media
mm-hmm.
and, people don't know about. And so I was kind of, doing that. And then it kind of grown into like more people that like I had Kayla, which by the way, if anybody's watching, Kayla Johansson,
Oh yeah,
I've got one of her original pendants on. If anyone
nice.
is interested in them, Peking Dough on Etsy. But
Great
yeah, so
gal too. She's a
yes.
hard
Oh my God,
worker.
she's a badass. Heck yeah.
She was a great guest on our show too.
Yeah.
I
But yeah,
loved having her on.
totally sure I will connect you with Brian for sure.
Because I'll totally take advantage of that opportunity if you'll allow me to.
Yeah, and he's you see him on camera, and I got to spend a weekend with him just with a small group of people, and he's really down to earth, and he'd make a great guest for sure. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he'd fit in personally because I think we're all one big family anyway. I
Yeah, I
don't
didn't.
know a person that's into geology and rock hounding that isn't potentially into prospecting.
Well, and the thing is that I didn't realize when I got into rock hounding that there was such a line or distinguishing separation between those who prospect gold and those who rock hound. To me, I just looked at it as all as one. And then as I got further into the hobby, I seen that, there's a definite distinction.
Well, there is a distinction,
Yeah,
but I think every prospector has a rockounder in them.
like a spirit of wanting to find something great. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was into rocks and geology and stuff before I ever became a prospector.
Oh, were you? Okay.
I think it's only natural. And I know for a fact I've seen pictures of you prospecting. So
Oh yes, I did for the first time. So when I hear the word prospecting, I know that you probably and everyone else on here like associates it with gold. But when I think of prospecting, I also think about somebody who is taking the time to look at maps and look at information to find an area where there is a deposit of not just gold but minerals. And so like to me, I feel like you can prospect, when I hear prospecting, I don't necessarily put it under an umbrella of gold. I think it as that instead of going in general, yeah, it's instead of going to a mine or a location that's known, you're going somewhere that is you're not necessarily sure what you're going to find, but you've done the research to suggest that there's probably a deposit of something there, right? And so I kind of look at it like that. But I'm learning that when most people say prospecting, that it's they in their mind they're thinking gold. In my mind, I just think minerals. But so yes, I did. I went prospecting for gold for the first time in November with Miles of Fish and Gold. Miles on he's like on YouTube, TikTok, and we were in Virginia, and I got a nice little nugget. I can grab it at some point. I should. It was nice.
I did ask you to get some treasure.
I do.
Porn
I
ready.
do have. I have treasures right here. I just didn't grab the gold.
Good. Well,
but yeah, it was fun. We did some sluicing, but like we were mostly or not sluicing, gold panning, but we were mostly doing metal detecting, and that's where we found the nugget. So
nice.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, it was fun. I will say that I think me personally, like if I want to look for gold, I would prefer to do more like out west where you're more not in the creeks per se, like when you're like in Nevada or Arizona or something, prospecting with like a metal detector. I don't know, like I feel like the whole panning thing is just like so much work. Like I don't know what it is.
It is a lot of work, but if I'm
gonna put in work, I'm gonna put in work in hard rock mining. Like that I freaking love. I love to hard rock mine. Like that I don't mind. I don't mind that kind of work.
I've never done hard rock really, but I wouldn't mind trying.
Oh, it's so, I don't know what it is about busting rock, but it's like an adrenaline rush. Right. But I love it. So there's some physical intense work with that, but I just found that the panning, I don't know, maybe because it was my first time, I just found it to be a bit challenging. So I think I maybe need a second go at it.
Right.
You have to like, move your hand a certain way. And I'm just like, as a first timer, it was, I didn't catch on very well. So maybe I need a second time, but the metal detecting, I loved that. I love that. That was really fun. So I did grab a metal detector myself, just a beginner's. I'm still waiting I'm going to take my son out to do that here soon. So
that'd be cool. Now, not far from your house, thank you for the super chat, Terry Marshall. I appreciate it. My opal mining brother from the land down under. And
all right, Australia.
Justin, Alaska gold hunter. I'd love to have you on. I've talked to you about having you on. Maybe this coming winter. And yes, you are a real miner. We all know that. We all know that. I
Was
know
he
the time difference is terrible because it's 4 hours from
was he on
us.
the show with Joe with Johansson? Was he on the show with her? Was he like on the show? I'm not sure.
I believe he's on Gold Rush Whitewater,
Yeah,
Justin.
that's the same as so he probably knows Kayla.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe he knows a friend of mine from Oregon who actually lives in Alaska now and was on Gold Rush Whitewater for a little while also, Ryan Cardoza. So, um,
Nice.
I think Ryan was on for this. I think Ryan was only on for one season though. To be personal, to be totally honest with you, Amber, I don't watch that stuff.
You know, I
If I watch it, I'm in goldprospectorspace.com watching it in a watch party on Zoom with my friends.
yeah, so like I watch bits and pieces of it. I'm not like I'm too busy to like really watch a show religiously all the time. So I'll hit like bits and pieces. When I say bits and pieces, like I'll watch episodes here and there, but I'm not one to like watch like every season, every episode. So I'm familiar with like I say characters because it is a show. I'm familiar with the characters on there.
Right. Same
But
here.
I'd rather be outdoors, to be honest, than watching TV. If I do watch TV, it's in the winter. In the summer, I'm either working or I'm outdoors. Period. So I'm not one to watch too much TV. So, but I do like to keep up with friends and what their shows are doing. So
Let me see.
But you were gonna say I live in an area.
Well,
it's well known.
I went to the Boy Scout camp in Sylvania, Ohio for they had
Camp
a jam.
Was it Miaconda?
Sounds
How do you
right.
say it? Yeah, Camp Manaconda, something like that. It's right down the street for me.
I have a patch on my wall in my shed, but we went there and we did gold panning demonstrations. Toledo
that's cool.
Dano and I, during their Klondike Gold Rush event.
That's cool.
And they were great there, but that Boy Scout camp's been there forever, and at one time they had the world's largest creek-fed swimming pool.
Really?
Yeah. So I bet
know
you could get permission to metal detect there.
Do they have gold there?
Oh, I'm sure someone dropped something gold, but
I didn't know that.
There's a lot of great treasures, even though metal detecting, I found some nice nuggets in the mother lode metal detecting.
Nice.
Now, there was a question I have here on my screen. I'm getting a butcher it. Oglethorpe County.
Oh
crystals?
Yeah, that's who I did. That's who I did the Georgia prospecting with. That's the guy who owns the property I was telling you about.
Cool. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to Tuesday Night Hangout Live. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
A Stony Spark Chaser. Good to see you, Stony. He's a Washingtonian. Cool. Well, heck. We're 35 minutes in the show, and I told you I shoot a lot from the hip. I started using ChatGPT to help me with questions, and I rarely get to them.
I can start for it. I mean, I'm used to being a host, so I can get started for you.
Oh, here. Welcome to Tuesday Night Hangout Live, Amber. Can you start by sharing how you first got interested into
Yes,
Rock
I
County
am. I am happy to.
and what sparked your passion for it?
Well, you know what? I've been waiting for this moment. Like I always ask other people this, and I'm like, I'm going to share my story. So actually, my stories started off with my daughter. Okay, so my daughter, we have been traveling. I've been a single mom for many years, and it sounds crazy for this little 5'3" single mom to take three of her kids, all over the country. But I'm like, you know what? Just because I'm a single mom and I'm a woman by myself doesn't mean that I can't do things. Like I just,
Right.
I had my grandmother was a very strong woman. I have had very strong women in my life. So, I took my 2-year-old, my 6-year-old, and my 10-year-old, 12-year-old. And, we went up to Niagara Falls and Jersey and all over. And my daughter, along all these trips that we're going to, she started collecting rocks, and I had no idea. And in 2017 was the last solar eclipse, and we drove. I took the kids out of school. Now everyone, most schools in Ohio were like closed that day, but back then, nobody really was big into that stuff, and I've always been. And so I was like, I don't care if it's your first day of school, second day of school, you're not going to school. We're going to drive to Kentucky and see the solar eclipse. And so after the solar eclipse, like the expressway was like closed for hours. Like we were literally stuck on the expressway for hours on the way home. And so we got out on the expressway, stretched our legs, and it's a road cut. And I wasn't into rock hounding yet at that point, but I loved geology in the sense of just what I was seeing. And so, we're all at a standstill, like literally on the expressway, park the car on the expressway because we weren't moving, and we're stretching our legs. And my daughter's like on this road cut in Kentucky, and she's, taking rocks and stuff. And so I'm looking at them and I'm like, these are really cool, and I don't know what they are. But I'm just like, it's cool, And so when we got home, she showed me like this collection of rocks that she had collected from, Vegas when we were there, and just all these different places. And I was like, that's really cool. I'm like, how did I not know this, And so I seen this interest that she had in rocks. And so I wanted to connect and bond with her. So I just started like looking up like cool rocks in the area, and we live in the Great Lakes. And so everybody knows, in Michigan, you've got all the Great Lakes that are actually beautiful, not so much on Lake Erie. So I'm like, let's go up there. And so we started getting into like collecting Petoskey stones and just different fossils and stuff. And so it just started in the Great Lakes and wanting to bond with my daughter. And then once I started to dive into the hobby and meet with other people, I just found myself really immersed in it. And then COVID hit, and everything was like shut down. My family, COVID really affected my family quite a bit, and I found myself kind of unintended hitting like kind of rock bottom. And I really, really dove into the Rockhound groups on Facebook. And I found myself, being a mod in these different Facebook groups and just learning about, the geology and becoming more intensely involved than just collecting rocks, but just understanding, what I'm actually looking at. Because in the beginning, I'm like, I didn't know what granite was, I didn't know what anything was. I just thought it was either pretty or not pretty.
Right.
And so I just really started learning and embracing the science of it. And then I've always been like a studious person. I've always been somebody who likes to learn as a hobby. If I'm going to read anything, I'm going to read something that's going to teach me something science related versus, like a novel or something. So I've always just been that kind of
like
way.
Me there.
Yeah, like
if I'm
I would
gonna
rather read it.
I gotta
Right.
be learning something.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to read some book for funsies. I'm going to read a book that's going to like teach me something, and that's fun to me.
Right.
So I started off that way, and I just got really into it and really connected to the people in the hobby. And I just started going from there to a point where I decided I wanted to create a Facebook page, and I created a Facebook page. It's called Explore More. And I started doing what I called rock socials. And I would have groups of people that would sign up, and we would go meet up in the Great Lakes, and I would teach them about different rocks that they were finding. And we would have, a time to socialize and meet other rock hounds. So I did that. And then I started creating rock and mineral shows. I did 2 of those. And my inspiration for that was I was seeing so many people in these Facebook rockhound groups that were creating, in Michigan, there's so many rocks on these shores, and
Yes.
they're gorgeous rocks, and people were creating jewelry and different things like birdhouses, you name it, people were creating them with rocks. And I was like, what if I created a show where these people could, sell these things? Because in the Facebook groups, they would be like, you can show your stuff, but you can't sell it, all these rules, this, and that. And I was like, what if I had a show where people had opportunity to sell their stuff? And so I did a show, and like all of my vendors were all new to selling, like, in a show. It was my first show, and they were new selling at a show, and it was a success. It was a hit. It was great. We did it up in Jackson, Michigan. And then a couple months later, I was like, I want to do the first Great Lakes fluorescent rock show, because I collect fluorescent rocks. And so I did that, and I just started really diving into connecting with the community. And then it's just kind of history from there. And then I just started thinking of other ideas how to connect the community. And then, I came up with the podcast. I really found that we have such a special group of people that collect, and we all come from different backgrounds, but at the end of the day, we love to find Earth's treasures. And I just find that so beautiful. And I wanted to connect people just through that. And so I just kind of found myself as a vessel to help people connect to the hobby, because it changed my life so much in a positive way that I wanted to reach others and have that affect them in a positive way. So then I'm here today.
Well, I appreciate you being here, Amber. Aaron wants to know, what's the stone on the necklace you got from Kayla?
Okay, yeah. So this is Kayla goes down and dives for her nuggets. So it is a nugget, and then her like kind of signature
Now,
is
it opal
the tree.
or the
Yep.
tree of life?
The tree of life with the gold nugget, and then the stone is an agate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She does
And
beautiful work.
she really does. And she has all different kinds of stones. This one was particular as an agate, but she does all kinds of stones. And I just love it. I love that she personally, finds this, it's not something that she's bought. It's something that's personal that she
Right.
picked up and decided for that. So yeah.
I know she did a collaboration with Dan Hurd too, with some of his
Yeah.
picture stone. And I think she's an awesome gal. I enjoyed
Oh
her
my gosh.
being on the show.
When I heard about her story, like she literally, this young lady just drives from, I don't know, was it Georgia? I don't know. It was either like South Carolina, Georgia, one of those states, and drives all the way to Alaska by herself. Doesn't know anybody in Alaska. She's just like, that's what I want to do. That's where I'm going, and just does it. And she did it during COVID, and just got up and left and created this whole life for herself. I'm like, what a badass. Like, I just something that's very personal to me is I love the badass women in the hobby. Like I just love it. They're so inspiring, which is something that I really try to really showcase on my show is that, there's a lot of women in the hobby who you wouldn't, maybe even think would be so badass. And they are. They're like an inspiration to me personally. So for sure.
It is badass, Mitch. It is. And she is too. But every time you say hobby, I kind of cringe.
Okay, okay. I should. Yeah,
It might be,
she's not. It's
it,
her profession. It's her profession for sure.
it's her lifestyle. Like
Yes,
it's
yes.
Justin's lifestyle.
Yeah, yes, that's
I,
true.
I,
Yes.
I guess I know we don't talk about it unless it pertains to treasure hunting, but
No, yeah,
politically
it's true.
wise, from being out west, I kind of look at things because out west, if you use the phrase recreational for your small scale mining or hobbyist, you lose your 1872 Mining Act rights
Oh,
for prospecting and looking for gold and silver or any precious metal. It almost eliminates your Mining Act rights that were
oh, I didn't
given
know
to
that.
us by Congress. Where if it's your lifestyle and you're dependent on it, no matter the dependency or the scale, either large or small, there's a less likelihood they can use the use it against you to take away that right that was given to us by Congress during 1872.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Um,
I guess I say hobby because for me, I have a full-time job, so it's a hobby for me. But yes, no, Kayla and all these people out there that do this for a living, like mad respect for them. Like
oh,
that's a dream. That's a dream for me. I can only wish to be able to do something like that and not be a nurse.
oh,
So
I hear you, but nursing, I have to give props to nurses. You know,
thank
I
you.
told you earlier, my mom's a nurse, was a nurse, my grandmother was a nurse, and I have mad respect for nurses. Not so much for doctors, as you know, but for
Yeah,
nurses, I have mad respect for.
appreciate that.
Aaron says, the creek is my home. I'd rather be there 24/7. I hear
Heck
you,
yeah.
brother.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
But, I kind of should have took the chances when I lived out west to venture to Alaska. Then I could be doing stuff like Kayla and Justin and some other people I know who are out there doing it full time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a
It's a
difference when you're
dream.
single.
Yes. And you,
Then
you have a family and kids. Yeah, totally.
I had a stay-at-home wife and 3 kids, so
Yeah.
it
I'm
makes it a
counting
little
down,
harder.
like I'm not wishing away my youngest's years by any means. I love being a mom, but I am secretly excited for I get 6 more years. And then, my oldest is going to be 22. So I've been a mom for a very long time. So I'm very excited to the day where I don't have little ones and that I can finally go and venture off and do what I want to do. So I will probably still be a nurse. So my goal is that I'll do like travel nursing and I will actually find my travel assignments based on the locations that I want to prospect.
There you go. Um,
So that's kind of my dream.
and you could do it too. You
Yeah,
could
I mean,
do
yeah,
it.
I mean, I would eventually like to not be a nurse, but it's probably going to be that way for a while. So I'm like, well, I'll make the best out of it and I'll do travel nursing and collect, in the locations that I want to collect and then find an assignment because I mean, there's hospitals everywhere and they always
Oh
need
yeah.
nurses.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so yeah, I'll just do that.
There
So
you
I've got
go.
6 more years, and my youngest will be in college, and then I can go and start that dream.
There you go. It's there's I say go for it, Amber.
I totally am. Listen, when I hear these young nurses that are new nurses and they're like talking about doing travel, I was like, girl, you don't have a husband, you don't have any kids, go travel. Like, do it now,
Oh yeah,
before, life changes. So,
because it can change on a dime too.
yeah,
Now we got
for
into
sure.
the second question about what motivated you to start the radio show. Uh, can you describe for my audience? I know there's some of your audience in here too. Um, but can you describe a typical episode of Rockhound Talk Live
So
and
I'll
what
I'll back up a
listeners can expect to when they tune in?
yeah. So I'll back up a little bit and I'll say that what prompted me for Rockhound Talk Live is while I was on Facebook and I had, all these new Rockhound friends,
Mm-hmm.
and they're posting, and the winter time came, and it was like everybody all of a sudden started posting kind of depressing posts. Like everybody was down
Wow.
because they couldn't collect because it was the winter. And I noticed this a theme across my thousands of Rockhound friends. And so
Mm-hmm.
I thought, what if I created a show that we could get through the winter, we could talk about rocks together to get us through that time until we could collect. And so I started my first season on just on Facebook, and I had just picked guests that were my friends and had them come on, and it just kind of started from there. And so on my show, I have geologists, paleontologists, rockhounds, lapidary artists, um, prospectors, mineralogists, like anything connected to Earth's treasures. I have those people on. And it's been such an awesome experience to be able to learn from these people, as I'm interviewing them, learning their journey. And it's been such a privilege to be able to share their story. And where I'm going into, I just finished up my third season. I'm going into the fourth season, and I've got a lineup of people that I am anxiously awaiting to send out, a welcome letter to be a guest for season 4. So I started. Let's see, I started in December of 2022. So a year and a half. I've been doing it. So very, 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 very little time. I'm learning. I'll have to pick your brain on some things as well because you've been doing this for 7 years. So
Almost 7 years. June
yeah, lots
22nd will
to
be
learn.
7 years.
Lots to learn.
It's believe me, it's still a learning experience. Jeez.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a labor of love. Let me tell you that, Amber. It's
Yes, I do
totally.
love it. It's a lot of work, but I love it.
Um, well, we got on this, but I know you've been on several trips. What has been some of your most memorable blah, blah, blah,
My
rock
most
counting
memorable.
trips or discoveries that you've made?
So my most memorable has been going to New York to collect Herkimer diamonds, and this is one of my favorite finds. I will say that I was a little stupid and I found some really great stuff and I sold them. there's
Oh,
there's one in particular that I regret. And I think that if anybody who ever sells, there's probably that everybody will say there's one thing that they sold that they wish they never did. Well, I have that. There was
I
one that I wish I never sold, but this is, so that I would say that was my number one favorite, but I sold it. So this is my second favorite. And this is a 2-pound Herkimer diamond. I collected this and just past season, 2023. I love. Now, this wasn't hard rock mining. This was an alluvial deposit, on a mine, by a new mine called Dirty Diamond Diggers. It's in the backyard of someone's home.
Nice.
They were digging and they found that they have this huge deposit of Herkimer diamonds. And so this one, we dug out. But I love hard rock mining there. It's hard work, but lots of fun. So
I'd like to get to Herkimer and mine some Herkimer diamonds.
Oh, it's so much fun. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. But yeah, just some gorgeous Herkimer diamonds that I found there. So those are some of my most memorable. Some that are like near and dear. I'll have to turn the lights down. So on Lake Erie, I created the first Great Lakes fluorescent sodalite public map. You can find it at exploremore.com.
Cool.
Yeah, and so it has over 72 locations where you can find fluorescent sodalite from Wisconsin to New York, on the Great Lakes, that you look for with a long wave fluorescent light.
I got
and
mine
so
right here.
I've been doing that for about 4 years now, and so that's where my rock hounding started to deep dive into rock hounding. That's where I started, was in fluorescent rocks.
You can find sodalite, aka Uperlites, here in Ohio.
Right. That's what I said. I'm Lake Erie.
I found inland.
Oh yes, for
at
sure.
The Swank West and the Clear Fork River, and
yes. So what happens with the glacials depositing? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep, you sure can. There's like a hot spot. From what I found, is mostly on the lake parts. On the lake it's east of Cleveland. If you're on the lake,
okay,
you can find some west of Cleveland for sure, but it's like hit or miss. I would never send anybody west of Cleveland, because it's going to be hit or miss. If you go east of Cleveland and you just hit up you can literally hit up all of the beaches, which, Ohio beaches are very small. You can just hit them all up and you will literally find tons. My kids and I do that. We used to do it a couple times a month. We went out during the solar eclipse and found some. We don't do it as frequently because I kind of, as you get into rock hounding or collecting, you kind of just move up in different, or you find where your favorite things are, right?
Sure that URL's right? My mod supreme, Mr. Lodak, says exploremore.com doesn't work.
ExploreMoreNorthAmerica.com. Sorry. that might attribute to my little drink right here. So ExploreMoreNorthAmerica.com. Try that. I apologize.
You go. No worries. No worries.
Yeah, and you just scroll down and you'll see a map. I've got over 72 locations from Wisconsin to New York of where you can find them. So what I did is I'm somebody who's like always moving and traveling. And at the time, anytime I went somewhere, I'm like, where can I find sodalite, And so I was like, and I had a lot of people asking me, where can I find this? Where can I find this? I was like, let me just make a centralized map for other people who maybe they live in Michigan and they're going to Wisconsin and they want to go out on the lake at night and find some. This is where you can find them. Or maybe they're in Ohio and they're going up to Michigan and want to know where you can find them. So I was like, let me just create a map for people to be able to find them. I will say it wasn't very popular within the Rockhound group because I know that there are a lot of people who like to gatekeep.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you
a secret.
My secret spot, and this is my perspective on this, okay? if your spot is truly your spot, meaning it's not a public location, okay?
Right.
Public beaches are not your spot. I'm sorry. If this is a public beach, it's a public beach. So if you find a lot of rocks there, great for you, but everyone else is entitled to also find rocks there. And so I did get a lot of hate per se for creating this map because I created a map with locations on public beaches. Oh, well, I don't give an F because they're public beaches. They're public beaches, guys. It's not your spot. And so I just feel like I don't gatekeep. Now, if this is your spot and it's not okay, if you tell me you're gonna take me somewhere and I didn't find the spot and it's not, public, like I'm not going to share your spot, okay? But if we're talking about a public beach, we're talking about a public location where tons of people gather, they just don't know what's there, right? I think that's silly to just not share that. Out west it's different with claims and stuff. I'm just talking about the Great Lakes and beaches. I think it's silly to say that you can claim something at a public beach. I think that's crazy. But there are people in the Great Lakes area who literally think that they own a spot on the public beach. It's crazy.
Right.
And so it's some craziness out there. But I totally respect people's their fines on their locations and all of that, but not when it comes to a public beach. I'm sorry. That's where I draw the line. This is a public beach. So
like my friend Mitch from Oregon, he says I just wouldn't tell people where I find stuff. Now that's when I bring up No Tell 'em Creek. It's like super hot spot or a great permission.
I super respect that. I just think that if this is somewhere where everyone's going and they don't know, they're looking at these rocks every day and they don't know that they glow just simply because they don't have a black light, a long wave light. Like, it's just really silly to just not share that, like, oh, by the way, you're already there. Bring a black light with you. Bring a 365 long wave light with you. Like, it's just, to me, especially as families travel to the Great Lakes to explore and discover, and they bring their kids. It's like, that's a very fun thing, for an exciting thing for kids to discover. My kids loved it when they saw at night that these rocks glow, and they glow this ember color, and it's like, you're already there. Bring a black light and go ahead and look at night. So to me, I just felt that it was something that was being gatekept that just was unnecessary. And they were also, these people were selling these rocks for like astronomical prices because no one knew where to find them. And it was like, guys,
you're digging into my paycheck, telling them where to find it.
This is not gold. These are just rocks on a beach, guys.
I have an update. To interject, I have an update on your sub count. You are now up to 350 subscribers.
Appreciate that.
NorCal Prospecting, thanks for the $20 super sticker, buddy. I appreciate it. And thanks for renewing your channel membership and purchasing a shirt and a mug. Prospectors' lives matter. I greatly appreciate it, brother. And Mitch has a point. Mitch is graveyard prospecting. He does a lot of sniping in Southwest Oregon.
Nice.
As well as I do, here east of the Mississippi, there's very little public land per se. So or BLM land at all. So all of our land is either public or private permission, or we lease it. Now, he says out west, out west, you got to be tight-lipped about what you find on public land.
For sure, for sure. I get it.
I agree with that, Mitch, and so does Amber.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
uh,
Yeah.
get too many people working a public spot, then the government might just come in and take it away.
They're not, guys, they're not taking these rocks away. These are just,
No, he's talking about the access because even
I'm like,
like
just taking these
right
rocks.
now up on the south shore of Lake Superior, the prospectors, they were gonna cancel panning permits altogether, because they were talking about the erosion of the banks and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
a bunch of other nonsense. Um, where everyone I know digging gold up there, including me last year, were never digging into the hillside looking for it. They're working the black sands in the beach.
Yeah. So I didn't even know. So I watched a video on that and I thought that's really cool that people are like sluicing the sand and stuff up there. And I thought there's an area that there's a nice river. Is it Muskegon? I can't think of which river it is. But I was like, maybe I can take a sluice up there and see what I can play around with, just to play around and see what I can find.
With their state laws, it can't be a salmon stream or a trout stream, which almost all of them are.
Okay.
But it's Muskegon State Park where you can used to be able to prospect. You can do it now because Mike Pung, the creator of Gold Cube, and some others have lobbied for the prospectors. This year they're going to go with panning only until they do further tests.
Okay.
Last year I did pretty good up there in July. I met up with Mike Pung, some other people, and Flower Gold Wizard, Jason the Mason, and in only about 4 hours I did over a gram of gold.
That's great.
1.4 grams, I believe it was.
Yeah, if you go again, let me know. I would totally do that. Like
it was really cool. And the agates, oh my God, beautiful stone.
That was my very last trip. I went up to Ben and I did our last not our last show, but if I don't know if anyone knows it, my co-host Ben, this was his last season. He's got changes going on in his life, and like we talked about before, people kind of come and go with the seasons. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we at the time we were doing it one in live person interview with our guests. We did one last year in New York for Herkimer Diamond. So this year we did with Wayne Bensfeld. He is an agate collector and carver. And so we went up there collecting agates, which was first time for me. And oh my gosh, the agates are gorgeous.
I remember that show. I watched that show.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And those agates are gorgeous. Oh my goodness. So yeah, first time for me. If you've never collected agates up in Michigan or the Great Lakes area up north, I highly suggest it. They're gorgeous.
Oh, I know the South Shore of Superior has some beautiful rocks. Agates are not. So many beautiful rocks.
Yes.
I didn't have any luck with the Euperlites, but I did have
you can
some
go
luck with
you don't have to
gold
drive
and agates.
You don't have to drive all the way up there. You can just go like 2 hours and a half to Canada. And as we're talking, I'm gonna go grab that nugget, and then I'm gonna turn my lights down so I can show you some stuff. So you can talk. I'll be right back.
Okay. She'll be right back, everyone. She's gonna get her gold porn for all my gold porn addicts out there and some other stuff. And I think she's gonna show some soda lights because she was talking about turning down her lights. So that should be really cool. Yeah, almost, Jeff. Almost. Gentleman Prospector, welcome. Next time you come to Ohio, let me know, and maybe a few of us Ohio prospectors can meet up with you at the beautiful Swank West lease. Could take you over to the Swank East lease also. It's a little harder to get into, but the gold's better, Gentleman Prospector. Nice little video you put out on your adventure. Got any Oregon sunstones? I tell people to go out west of Cleveland to find them. You're funny. Is there a Cleveland, Oregon? I know there's a Toledo, Washington, but is there a Cleveland, Oregon? Right on. You can count on it, or you can bet on it. Okay, it sounds good, Gentleman Prospector, and welcome. Aiden Monroe, good to see you in our live chat room too. I appreciate you here supporting your mother. And Al Gold Prospecting, good to see you. Hey, AL, my buddy in the chat room, David Bogan, lives north of you a little, and he's a gold dredger. I think I brought this up to you before in one of Aaron's chat rooms, but David Bogan and Mita and his wife is good people, very good people. Roman with Ringo. How you doing, Ringo? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. There's no gold in Ohio. Yeah, there's no gold nowhere. Hi, Robert. No gold in California, no gold in Southwest Oregon, no gold in Eastern Oregon or up in the North Cascades of Washington. There's no gold. Here we go again. David Viesas, right? There's for sure no gold in Utah either, right? Right? His name's David Bogan. He's here in the chat room. He lives up north of you a little on a gold-bearing river. All right, everybody.
Okay.
We're
I'm
going
back.
to see some fluorescence.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you
Okay,
fine.
okay.
Do
Okay,
you hear everybody here good?
Okay, so on Lake Erie, so all of the Ohioans that are watching, everybody thinks, okay, that to find AKA Uperlites that you have to go up to Lake Superior. However, not true. Due to glaciation so Uperlites come from Canada, okay? So there are alkaline deposits, there are alkaline complexes in Canada. One of the most famous ones in North America is the Coldwell complex, and that is right above Lake Superior. So all of the Uperlites that you're seeing are coming from there, and they were brought down by glaciers, and they were deposited on Lake Superior, and they came down into Lake Michigan. Now, you will find, you might be lucky to find one, maybe in your lifetime. Very few are on Lake Huron, which essentially, if you look at Lake Huron and Lake Michigan, they're all one lake, to be honest, but we do separate them.
Yeah,
But
they're up by the bridge, you know,
yeah,
where it
so
wraps
it is
around
one.
the
It
mitten.
Yeah, so it is one lake. It doesn't separate. It's kind of like just an extension, and there's like a little area, and then extends off. But if you look at the glacier deposits, they came down from Lake Superior down to Lake Michigan, and there's a hot spot in Lake Michigan, which is like it's on my map, exploremorenorthamerica.com. There's a hot spot of deposits there. You're not going to find very many on Lake Huron. And then you come to Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, okay? Now, there are some alkaline complexes on the eastern side of Canada. We're going away from Lake Superior and we're going more east. And there's one in Bancroft, Ontario, and there's one in Mount St. Hilaire. And so we don't know for sure because it's never the fluorescent sodalite found on Lake Erie is more of a newer thing, and people have to understand in this hobby, fluorescent rock hounding is still like newer in the hobby. So like if you're starting to collect in the hobby, you're kind of like the pioneers of this thing. It's a newer thing to collect. So if you become a part of it, you're in the beginning parts of it becoming, a big thing to become widely known and to be larger than just collecting rocks in general. Okay. So there hasn't been anybody yet. I started the process. I didn't finish it because I'm one of those people that have 101 projects going. We do need to confirm where exactly the rocks that we're finding on Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, like where they're coming specifically. But they look distinctly different from the fluorescent sodalite, the AKA Uprolites from Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. The sodalite structures looked more like hexagonal, which you're not going to find that structure on those other two lakes. And so I personally, and maybe I'm a little biased because I live in Ohio, but I personally think they're way more gorgeous just because you're going to see this very hexagonal structure. It's very beautiful. A crystal that you're going to find there. And so you typically begin to find those east of Cleveland, and you can find them all the way through New York. Which I do have marked on the map. But so this is a 6-pounder that I found on Lake Erie. And we go looking for this quite a bit. But, to find this size kind of rock on, Lake Michigan is rare. Definitely you can find them on Lake Superior. But Lake Superior is so heavily collected because everyone thinks that you have to find them there. No one ever thinks about Lake Erie. And even though my map has been out for 2 years and I've been collecting there for 4 years, let me tell you, I went out with my kids in April for the solar eclipse. And we were on the beach and we're still by ourselves. All by ourselves. There are still people who don't even realize that you can find them there. So you can still find quite a bit, but not just fluorescent sodalite. You can also find what we call scapolite. So scapolite, aka Warnerite, comes from an area in Quebec, and they're yellow, and they're very bright. And you can find those on the beach as well. And this came from Lake Erie.
Just move it a little to your left.
That way.
Yeah, okay, that's better. And down. Perfect.
Right there?
Yep.
Yeah, so this here is what we call scapolite, and we find that on Lake Erie as well. You will find some very, 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 very few on Lake Michigan and Lake Ontario. But when I go on Lake Erie, I always find at least one every hunt on Lake Erie. And those
Now
are
you
coming
say
from
the origin
Quebec.
of that's Quebec. Okay.
Correct. Yes, because well, there is some in New York, but we believe that the ones in New York again is coming from glacial deposits from Quebec.
Okay. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's right above Quebec in New York. It makes sense. Yeah, for
Now,
sure.
my friend Shane, Ohio River history, he's wondering, ask what types of rocks he should be looking for in the Ohio River Valley.
I don't know if these glacial deposits are coming all the way down. Like, no, we know glaciers came down for, way, way, way down. But these in particular, I don't know how far these rocks have come down. Like, for example, guandatalites. You find those a lot on Lake Ontario, which are 3 billion-year-old rocks. If you don't travel outside of this area, they're probably the oldest rocks you will ever touch. However, they come from, they're Huron, and then they're coming from or they're coming from Canada. Sorry, we can find them. I actually found one in Sylvania, Ohio. You can find them in Ohio, guandatilites. I literally in a creek right by a park, right, like literally 5 minutes from my house, I found a guandatilite, 3 billion-year-old rock. So like you can find all kinds of things, but how common to find them, of course, I don't know. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to find fluorescent rocks all the way down to where you're at the Ohio River. But I will tell you, by the Ohio River, you're going to have tons and tons and tons of fossils. There is a museum. Let me turn my light back on. There's a museum. Hold on 1 second.
Hey, Brian, somewhere in Ohio. Wish I would able to talk to you more Saturday when I was at Freedom Fest, but it was good seeing you. You were busy working away on your 2-inch dredge, Brian.
And just in case anyone wants to see, like these rocks just look like regular stupid gray rocks. Like they don't look like they're nothing special. Okay. They're just regular stupid gray rocks that if you didn't know that they glowed, you'd just kick them like, oh, stupid rocks.
Right.
It's not till at night and you take this long wave UV light, which you can get on Amazon. It's not a black light, because like a black light would be considered like what we call a 395. You need a 365. A 365 long wave light, and you take that is when you start to see things glow, and it's based upon how excited they get under what kind of wavelength. But we're lucky in the Great Lakes that we don't need short wave lights, which you do in New Jersey, which I do have some specimens like that. Like in New Jersey area, you need a short wave light, but in the long wave lights are in the Great Lakes, which are much cheaper, by the way, because short wave lights can be like $200 and $300. So we're lucky in that aspect up here. But okay, so you were talking about like by the Ohio River.
Right.
So you're going to find tons and tons of incredible fossils. So
the Illinoisan glacier made it down as far as Fort Knox, I believe.
Incredible fossils out there. I went to this museum that's right at the fork between like all the 3 states. It's the Ohio River. Gosh, can't think of the museum, but it's right at there where it's like Illinois, Ohio, and Kentucky. And this museum, like there used to be a river, like part of the river there that they put they blocked it off. So like they cut it off completely. It's all dry. And you can walk out there. And when you walk out there, you're looking at these like million-year-old 300 million year olds, I shouldn't say billion,
Right.
fossils that are on bedrock right there on the lake, and you can find all kinds. You can't collect them in this area of the museum. You can't collect them, but it's so neat because you'll see very large sea creatures, which just proves Pangea, and it proves that this area, this location was at the equator, because these sea creatures couldn't live in cold water. They could only be in warm water. So it really just goes back to prove Pangea and how we broke apart, and that where we are living in Ohio was essentially underwater at the equator. It's really cool to see
Right.
the
And it
science.
explains why, like,
Yes,
in
and they have this whole.
Washington has fossils. My friend Graveyard, if you want to look for fossils, go up to like Chuckanet Drive in Skagit and Whatcom County in western Washington. You can find even Cedar-Woolley, Washington and stuff. You can find pond prawn fossils there. And I agree. Pangea, the continent of Pangea is a thing.
Oh, for
And,
sure.
and
There's too much evidence to not suggest. Like, for
right.
example, this I found 5 minutes from my house because
Brachniopod.
yes, this is a brachiopod that I live in an area that's a well-known area of deposit of fossils and what we call the silica shale. And it's 5 minutes from my house. They have this place called Fossil Park, and you can find these incredibly intact, gorgeous brachiopods that are millions, hundreds of millions years old. These only lived, when we know when these people lived, we know that, like, they didn't live in cold waters, guys. They lived in warm waters. And how do we know that? We know that by studying their biology. And then we also see what's really great about this area is we have pyritized brachiopods.
Cool.
Yeah, look at that. I found. Now, this is a distorted brachiopod because it's the way it looks, it's distorted, but you can still see the pyrite on there. So the pyrite forms in different forms and ways. This particular pyrite was formed with a bacteria, and the conditions were correct to create this pyrite. Basically, it formed over the fossil. And I cleaned it up with some muriatic acid, and it came out like that. It's really cool. It is really cool. And when you think about like how old this is, and I found it like 5 minutes from my house, is like, if you're ever looking for some really cool things, come up to Sylvania, Ohio, Fossil Park. You will find some incredible specimens up here.
There's also one in Sharonville.
Where's that?
In between Cleveland and Dayton.
Okay.
There's a fossil park there.
That's cool.
You can find brachiopods and trilobites and stuff like that, which I believe is Ohio's fossil or rock is trilobite, right?
Ours is flint.
Our rock's flint, but our fossil's
right.
trilobite.
Our fossil. Oh, yes, it is. And speaking of which, 1 second. Can I just say this real quick?
Sure.
And then I know that you guys can totally relate to this. You ever taken somebody to like your spot and they find something better than you?
Oh yeah, many times.
You're like, oh my God. So I took someone to my spot. They found something better than me, but I was able to convince them for a trade, and I got it because like I had been looking for this specimen for fucking years. and they found it before me, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I know how long I've been looking for this. So we did a trade, and I do have it, but I can't take the credit for finding it, even though it was like 2 feet from me. But they did find it, and it is a museum quality trilobite, and it's not a curled trilobite; it's a flat one.
Oh,
it
nice.
is. Oh, it is fantastic. So hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Okay, but I have a question from the room you can answer when you get back and have your ears back on. I'll get to that, Mr. Lodak and Bent Fork. I'll get to it. I'm trying to let her talk, you know, guys. I'm trying to let her talk. Yeah, fossilized coral also. Oregon shoe is Nike. Ha, funny. Mama bird always finds more than me. Same with Judy. She's always looking at rocks. It was funny, gentlemen, prospector, when we were on Lake Superior and I'm sluicing for gold. I had to tell her, stop looking for rocks. I need to move material. Stop looking at the rocks. Guido! How you doing, Guido? Good to see you, buddy. But I'll get to that Bent Fork when she comes back. Flower Gold Wizard crushed Uperlites and put them in pay dirt. Hey.
Yeah, that's actually fun. We call them fairy dust.
Oh, cool. Now I had a question. I believe it was about the sodalite. Have you ever slabbed them or cracked them open?
I have not personally, but I did belong or do belong to a group that does do that. I know that they've done several tests on them, like microwave them, cut them, like you name it, trying to like learn them. I was very fortunate to be a part of a group that is literally like kind of the pioneers of finding these rocks in the Great Lakes area. So I learned quite a bit from them, but I have not personally. But what's the question?
Bent Fork asked if you can slab them.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure you can. You can slab them and polish them for sure. I do. Ooh, do I still have it?
Minor kind of answered it too. He says, Bent Fork prospecting, you can slab them, but a nice thing to do with a large rock, I'd make as a spear.
Yeah, I have a polished one from Lake Erie. You know, that's what's really interesting. I don't know if you guys know this, but they found, and I'm not saying that this is what it is, okay? But they have found jade on Lake Erie, okay? What I do find interesting is that I'm not saying it's jade, guys. I'm not saying it's jade, okay? I'm just saying, if I was to get this wet, it looks gray. If I was to get this wet, it turns green. If I polish it, it turns green. It's very interesting. It's very distinct from the sodalite that we're finding on Lake Superior and Lake Michigan.
Could it be related to nephrite?
This is the thing. This is the thing. Nobody's taken these rocks and had them studied. If they have, we'd know about it by now.
Right.
So this is the thing. I'm wondering if it is, because I'm gonna go grab it and I'm gonna show you. If you polish and wet the sodalite found on Lake Erie, it is an army green. Hold on, I'm gonna go grab it.
Dan Hurd, if you're lurking, I know you find a lot of nephrite in your area, like I did on my claims in Washington. Try that. Take a UV light to it, or whatever light you use for soda light and stuff, Amber knows better than I do.
Okay, so we will show you. Let me grab my light. Okay, so just so you can show, this is definitely soda light, right? So you can see long wave. It's
Yeah.
glowing orange. See the little spots there of orange.
That's cool.
So we see that. So that's a really big one there. Okay. Now let me show you under visual light. So under visual light, which may be hard for you to see.
Oh, I see
gonna
the
be-
really nice green to it.
But it's green. It is an army green. And I'm telling you guys, it looks like this dry, but polished and wet. Now these right here, that's the sodalite. These here, that's sodalite. Those are
Right.
sodalite crystals. And then it's like this army green. Nobody has had this tested with any kind of mineralogical analysis. Like we have no idea what it is. But I do know that there's this guy who has found jade for sure and had it tested on Lake Erie. But so typically what we find is it's cyanite sodalite. So the rock host is cyanite. That's
Okay.
where it's coming from, the alkaline complex. But typically cyanite is not green. So we're like, what the hell do we have on Lake Erie? No one's ever been interested in Lake Erie and sodalite to even really, dive into it, to test it or even care about it. So we have no idea what this is. I haven't had the time to research it. I really hope that someone does, because maybe it's something significant. Who knows? But all I know is that this is an army green that is not typical of cyanite, and nobody knows what it is. So it would be interesting for us to find out. And that's the cool thing about rock hounding, is that you could, how many people have been the first to kind of not necessarily discover, but to make, there's probably been other people who have found it, right? But the first person to make it like known,
Right.
there's that's so cool to be like, what, I took the initiative to have this tested, which is, how we kind of found out about Uberlights was, with Eric going out and saying like, this is weird, it's glowing, what is it?
And then they couldn't find it anywhere else in their records, and he got to name it.
Yeah, so it's like, it's kind of cool to be able to be like, I took the initiative, whether you want to trademark it or not. It's cool to know that there are things out there that are still to be known.
Right.
That's really cool.
Our friend Greg, me minor, he says my BCJ doesn't respond to UV. And that's a nephrite too, like we'd find it in Washington.
Okay. Could be definitely. I would love for, I'm trying to figure out what.
Well, isn't like serpentine green? But serpentine has a lot of fractures to it, don't it?
Yes, I've got serpentine. 1 second.
I'm sure she has all kinds of rocks she could share with us. I found one in Cali last year. Jade.
So this is some Ontario serpentine right here. It does have fractures, and it's very linear.
That's a beautiful stone, though.
Yeah, so that's serpentine from Ontario. But it's just really interesting that what I find interesting is that this is gray, dry, and then green, polished, and wet. It's like, what is it?
Right, and that's what made me think of like
The nephrite.
nephrite, because it will have that brownish crust type cover on it, or
And they have
rind on
nephrite.
it.
They have a is there a nephrite jadeite, or am I mistaken there?
Nephrite, it's, I believe it's in the jade category.
Okay. Yeah. So
I'm not an expert geologist or
I'm not,
nothing.
no, I'm not near, no, I'm nowhere near. So, but I know that, I know this. We need to study it. We need to figure out what it is. And I think that it's, if the people who do collect in Ohio on Lake Erie, whatever you find, keep it, because we don't know what it is, and it could be something really great. And I know that I have rocks upon rocks upon rocks, and I tell my kids, like, this is what we know to be it is, but we don't know everything. And wouldn't it be so great to know that there is something magnificent on these lakes that nobody knew, and that we've been collecting for years and have, like, I don't know, I just think that that's kind of cool. So if you find it in Lake Erie, keep it. Somebody someday will figure out exactly what it is.
I'm gonna interject on Aiden's behalf for a second. He says, "Love you, Mom. Good night."
Okay, good night, son.
Good night, Aiden.
He's got his last couple of days of school, so it is kind of late for him. Good night, honey. I love him. My
Hope we
little
see
baby
you
boy.
in our audience again sometime, buddy. We try and be family friendly here. I appreciate you being here, supporting your mom too.
That's sweet.
It's funny. Greg, our buddy, me miner, says, mention a new rock and make Amber run.
No, seriously, like, I do get excited about this stuff, and I know that I may not look like a typical person to get excited about this stuff, but like I said, I've always been studious, and I've always been interested in learning. And when I found this hobby, even though for others it is a profession,
Right.
but for me it's a hobby. And when I found it, I was like, I finally found my people. It was like, I
one
finally,
day it might be your profession, Amber.
that would be the ultimate for me. But when I finally found the community of people that love learning and love to discover like I do, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I love these people.
Now, I love gold, I love silver, I love great rocks of all forms, and even napstones, like Robert Dupati said, a good friend of mine, arrowheads. The people,
I still haven't found one.
Really? The people I've met.
Yeah, I couldn't find one.
One day you will. The people I've met have been the real treasure, the real gold.
Yes. The people. Oh my gosh, you just fall in love with the people, because it's that connection that you share, and nothing else really matters about, like, whatever differences or whatever. It's like when you come together with people who are interested in love and have the same passion as you, it's like it's a feeling like none other.
Right.
And that's when I realized that I really truly believe that my future or my purpose is something within this community of people. I save lives. I've been saving lives as a nurse for almost 2 decades. And I feel like my purpose now is to save lives through this hobby, and to bring people to this hobby who, like, I found it in a very dark place, to help others who are in a dark place find this hobby and connect with others, and to share that to find those people and bring them in is kind of where I feel personally is where my purpose is, and kind of where my drive to be community driven and to connect with others.
I have to say it is very therapeutic.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? You
Uh,
walk through the sand dunes of Michigan barefoot, grounding, and you're just walking through the sand dunes, and then there's no rocks, but you're connecting with nature, and then you find a rock and you're like, what is this? This is cool. It's like
mhm.
completely therapeutic.
I agree. Now, Aquadonkey Prospecting, he's from Northeast Ohio. He goes, congrats, you turned me into a rockhound. I'm disappointed in myself. I live like an hour from those spots.
Oh my God. Boy, get on that website and start looking, because I'm going to tell you what,
Um,
you go out there at night, there's nothing like going on the Great Lakes at night, the waves crashing the rocks, the sound, the moon, and I'm telling you, on Lake Erie, you're alone. And these beaches are small, but like they're not known for as many people as I know who do collect these rocks at night. It's still a relatively new thing that 4 years later I've been doing this, and I will go out there at any night and I'm still the only one. There's nothing like going on the beach at night by yourself. It's dark. The waves are crashing the rocks. The moon is set or not set, doesn't matter. The
right.
smell in the air, and you're taking your light across, and all of a sudden you see this glowing ember rock, and you're like, oh my God, this is so gorgeous, and just such a moment that there's nothing else like it. Now, that rock may not be worth anything, but in that moment and that feeling, it's everything. And I say everybody should at least do it once, because it's an experience that you're not going to have anywhere else. It's a whole experience. And that's what really truly turned me on into the hobby, to want to learn more and just to experience that. I think every single human should experience that one time.
Well,
Just
I'll
once.
have to try Lake Erie because up on Lake Superior, there were like a kabillion people out.
Yeah, no, there's not. And maybe after this podcast there'll be more, but I'm still telling you, after 4 years, I was really shocked when I made this. I've had, if you look at how many views I've had on the map, it's quite 100, or not 100,000. It's in the like 40,000. Okay.
Right.
There's been a lot of people who viewed the map, right? And I thought for sure, when I went out with my kids on the night before the solar eclipse, when everybody was coming to this Ohio area, I thought for sure
Right.
it'd be packed. And to still know 4 years later, on the eve of the solar eclipse, there was no one on the beach. I'm like, oh. And we found over 25 pounds of sodalite.
Wow.
So yes,
Nice. Nice.
I'm like, there's still a lot of rock out there. There, and it made me even feel better about sharing these locations, because people are like, oh, they're going to take all the rocks, there's not going to be anything left. And there's still rocks out there.
The way
You
the
can
wave action is on any
Yes,
of the
yes.
lakes, it
It's
redeposits
constantly,
it.
yep, you got it. Yep. It's constantly bringing in rocks. It is such an experience. I
Now,
can't
have
think
you
of.
tried any hardness tests on those stones that
I
you're
have
questioning
not.
about?
I have not, actually. I didn't go any further into noticing that when I washed them, they turned green, and then when they polished, they stayed green. And then this one gentleman who I connected with on Facebook briefly, it was the Ohio Rockhounds group. He was talking about how he found jadeite, and I was just like, I need to connect with him to see what he found and what I found, and see the similarities. but then there's no documentation to show that there is like any nephrite jadeite with sodalite like in this area. So I just thought, you know, I just kind of, actually, I wouldn't say I just thought, I just kind of left it there because I have like a million bajillion projects and hoping that someone else will pick it up and figure it
Right,
out.
right.
At one point, I did reach out. This was during 2021. I did reach out to a gentleman in Bancroft. He's a mineralogist at the like Canadian historic. I don't know. I can't remember, but he was somebody at this museum near Bancroft, and he, because of COVID, you know, he said I could ship him a sample and he would evaluate it and analyze it for me. Um, Life happened, things were going on, and I didn't get a chance to follow up with them. And then other projects happened. So I didn't get to follow through with that, but I was hoping maybe someone else would, but they haven't. But it would be really cool to find out, like, what do we have, you know, that's really special. There's something special on these lake shores that no one's discovered, and it would be cool to know for sure.
It would be really cool to know
Yeah.
because polished up, that's a beautiful looking rock.
Yeah, it's like this army green, and you're like, what is this? Like, and the guy that polished this, he was like, I don't know what this is, but it's really weird. But it turned like this army green. And I was like, really? And he sent it to me. And then I started looking at my other rocks. And when I got them wet, they were also green. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And I saw other people, even like Eric, who discovered eupalites, he had noticed the same, that these rocks were green. He doesn't know. So nobody really
Now,
knows what these are.
Toledo has a lapidary club. Have
Mm-hmm.
you tried about talking to any of them or
I
going
I
to like
I
Toledo
have
University? Do they have a
I have not.
geology department?
They do have a geology department. I do not know if they have a geology department that analyzes. I would assume all geology departments do, but I don't know for sure. I haven't sought them out, and I don't know if they have the equipment to test it. But that is a good idea. I guess I just hadn't done it. But now that you've said it, now I feel like I
Well,
need to.
you're busy with life regardless.
No,
You're
but I
a
mean,
single mother with
I lived
children.
I lived 10 minutes from, I mean, I graduated from the University of Toledo. So I'm like, I mean, I lived 10 minutes from the
Right.
University of Toledo. I probably should just go and ask. But um yeah, you know, I have slowed down on social media for my own mental health. That could be a project that I pick up this summer. So maybe I will.
Well, there you go. And also update on your sub count. You are now up 10 more subscribers to
I think that's so great.
360.
I really appreciate that, because as a new show, I'm not sure how to get people to grow. Like, you've got such a great following, and I don't know how to grow. So this is great. I really
It
want
takes
people to.
time. Let it be organic. Push it where
Yes.
you can. I
Yeah.
don't try to do a lot of spamming. I don't spam a ton to groups. I only share my show to groups I know it's okay and I've asked prior. I'm just trying to stay all organic. And a
Yeah. I mean,
lot
you have
of
a
my
great following of people.
community has been some of my guests. Like, I've had several guests in here that are in this chat right now, like Greg, me minor. Great guest, and he's a great content creator and
Yeah.
knows his stuff. And I love my lurkers too. If you're out there, Two Toes or Dan Hurd or Pioneer Polly, thanks for watching. Jason AU Colorado, how you doing? Yes, Hobo Rob, smash that like button, share, let the algorithms know you're enjoying this podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it. I definitely appreciate it. Um, you out of here, Jason? Oh, hi all. Um, I don't know where Benzo's at, John, but he might be here. And John had a statement. He said, there's a reason why Native Americans use quartz rocks to cover their loved ones when they passed away, or passed up to the next level of existence.
The energy?
Could be. Could
What was
be.
what did he say the reason was?
I don't think he said the reason. What's the
Oh,
reason? The
yeah.
energy?
Is it the energy? Is it because they're harder to wear away? Like, what's the rationale?
Good
Because
question.
these are like, dang, I should have looked them up, but these are like hundreds of million years old crystals. So I mean, but they're like 500 million for sure. For sure, 500 million year old crystals right here from New York. Like, oh my God. Eh,
He says, yes, ma'am. It's conductive nature.
yes, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Sounds
I
good,
do
John.
have so I did go prospecting up in Ontario and Quebec for 4 days a couple of years ago. So this is some blue apatite, which is rare, that I was able to collect. I'm headed up there in a couple, well, not Quebec, but Ontario, to collect again. I'm gonna do this. I'm really excited. I want to go up there. Like, I don't want to meet anybody, right? I want to go up there on my own, prospect on my own, camp on my own. I just want it to be like completely like as primitive as I can make it, and by myself, and just see like, like challenge, right? Of just doing it and see what I can find, what I discover, and learn about myself like all on my own. Like, if I could do naked and afraid, dude, I would so do it. Like, I just wanted, like, I'm not trying to do naked and afraid in Ontario, but I'm just saying, like, I just want to, like, I want to do like some really primitive shit, and I want to discover things. It's great to have friends and they show you spots and stuff, like that's so cool. But I want to see what I can do on my own. It's that challenge, and it's that satisfaction of knowing like you did the research and you did this and that, and then you found it. Like, that is just so satisfying to me that I couldn't want anything more for my birthday. So I'm really hoping to do that here in a couple of weeks. I did find
Uh,
this. I did find this though with friends. So
that's cool. Ventures in Dirt, my friend Ken King, DK, says, what's up, Flash Fam? Cheers, Ed and Amber.
hey,
NorCal Prospecting Buddy, thank you for gifting 5 Flashing European memberships. I appreciate it. DK, great seeing you. Now, GoPro Unlimited, my friend Jeff from No Gold in Utah. Yeah. He says, I believe quartz crystals naturally produce a small amount of electricity, question mark, question mark. Don't tell Elon. Um, they're very conductive. I do know
yeah,
they have energy properties. It could be very much so.
yeah, they're like with our cell phones and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they use crystals and all kinds of stuff, um, for stuff. I do have to go to work. I don't have to be there till 11. Sorry, producers behind the stream. Behind my green screen talking to me, everybody. I know, I see the clock right here, honey. I have it right in front of me. Oh, the joys of live streaming, I tell ya. Cottonwood has no electricity and no phone service. Very primitive. That it is, Brian. That it is.
Is that Cottonwood in Canada?
No, Cottonwood Trails Gold Camp in
Oh,
Greensburg, Indiana.
oh,
I found some very nice garnets there. There's some very good fossil beds there.
oh yeah, Indiana for sure.
Also, we found an arrowhead there, a nice Adena point.
Well,
It
the
was
last thing, because I know you have to go and I know you have a gold show. This is my only, I don't even know if it'll show up. This is my only
Ooh, look
little,
at that nugget, guys.
that's my
Look at
first and
that
only
nugget.
nugget. Look at that little nugget.
Oh, you'll
Look
get
at
more because you have gold fever now.
that. This was in Virginia. I found this guy.
Oh, Virginia. Nice,
Yep.
nice.
Yep. We found that in Virginia.
A
My little
geologist
nugget.
friend of mine dredges a lot in Virginia.
There's some really good gold in Virginia.
Yes, there is. Only
Yeah.
Pans, good to see you, MJ. But there's your gold porn, friends, and your rock
Yeah, there you go.
treasure. You know, when I started out 6+ years ago, it was strictly gold prospecting. But it vastly morphed into treasure in general because there's so many types of treasure, Amber. You know,
Yes.
gold, silver, antiquities you dig out of the dirt, rocks, gems,
Yes.
fossils, napped stones, arrowheads, Robert, bottles, all kinds of treasure. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
That's right.
And
Yep.
and I like it all. I like the thrill of the hunt. And again, I'm gonna say it again, but the biggest treasure of them all are the people in my live
Yep.
chat, the people I have
Connections. Yeah.
met on the rivers and streams, events. They're the real treasure, the community.
For sure. For sure. The community is everything. Absolutely.
I would like to find a megalodon tooth. So would I.
Yeah,
Brad,
I've had
so
so
would
I have some given to me, and I have like some really great ones, but like I would like to find one on my own for sure.
Only Pan says, I saw this beautiful lady on a live with Dave. Yes, she had Dave on her show, and that was
Yeah.
a great show, Amber.
Oh, Dave Verboff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Dave. Yes.
Yeah.
Gold Bay.
Gold Bay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. He is like, wow, like the gold. Oh my God. Like if I could go down to Mexico and find some of that gold, dear Lord.
Well, even the stuff he finds in
in California,
at his mine in California.
Yes, that's where the crystalline gold is. Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you see that last crystalline gold he found on his mine in Mexico? Oh my God.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I look at it and I'm like, it looks so unearthly. It's just so incredible. Like what a life. He works hard though. He works hard because I see all of the work put in. But
Well,
if I'm
yeah,
gonna,
it
we
helps
all
he's
work hard.
single,
But if we're
but
gonna work hard, I want to work hard to find gold. I'll work as
yeah,
hard as
yeah.
I can to find gold.
Now, I know David's originally Canadian. He moved to Spokane area in northwest or northeast
Okay.
of Washington. Then from
Wait a
there
minute.
he went to
Are you?
California.
Wait. Are you from Spokane?
No, I'm actually from
Okay.
Anaheim, California.
Okay, because my daughter's father's got his family in Spokane, so I was just wondering. I'm
I
like, oh,
raised
we've got family there.
I moved. It's funny. My daughter was born in Lowell, Massachusetts. My
Oh,
oldest son
wow.
was born in Steele, Missouri, and my youngest son was born in Cedar-Woolley, Washington.
You would think you were in the military or something.
No, I just had wanderlust from very young. And being in construction, I can find work anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
Anywhere. Like you being a nurse. There's
Yeah,
work
I just
for us
I
anywhere.
stayed in this one place, but that's not gonna last very long. I'm gonna my wanderlust is really gonna take place here soon.
Well, follow your dreams, Amber. Live it. We only live once, and we're on
One
this
time.
planet a
Yep.
very fraction amount of time.
Yes.
Boy, I didn't even touch none of the questions hardly I had from Chat GPT, but
Sorry.
I don't be sorry, I never do. Because so many years I just shot from the hip, went with what the chat does, and how our conversation goes, it goes. I try to be 0% scripted.
Yeah, you gotta be original for sure.
That's right. All things country. I just like to share my love across the country. All three of my kids have the one mom. So, Amber, it's been 2 hours.
Yes.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does time fly, and I know what it's like when you got to rush into work because I have done this too. I've had a show, and then I've got to go rush into third shift, so I totally get it.
Yeah, I don't even get to do my post-production tonight because I usually after the show, I take care of some stuff on YouTube and then I bring my show into my editor, I trim the fat, I reformat it to an audio file, then I upload it to my podcast sites, which usually that takes maybe an hour. So
Until I'm gonna have to link up with you to learn your process because now that I'm down, I don't know if I mentioned, but my co-host Ben, he's got different navigations and paths in life, so he won't be my co-host moving forward, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna have one or if it'll just be me. If it's just me, I'm gonna have to tap into your brain to see how you do all this stuff.
I'll do the best I can to help you in any way I can, Amber.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
but I do very much appreciate you taking your time to join
Thank you.
us here tonight on
Thank
Tuesday
you.
Night Hangout Live. And all of you FlashFam members out there, new and old, I greatly appreciate all of you joining us tonight. Next week is Open Line Tuesday because, it's the first Tuesday of the month. And I have a pretty good lineup for next month coming on. But Open Line Tuesday next Tuesday, everybody. Other than that, don't know what to tell you, but very much enjoyed you being on, Amber.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And I'll have to get you on again sometime, because
For sure.
From the feel of it, we barely dipped into any of it.
I know, right? There's so much to dive into.
Now, everybody, until next time, may you always have a flash in your pan. And you know what I like to say, because it does happen. Maybe one day, too, I'll meet you on the river. Take care, everybody. God bless. And go out there. Find your treasure. Get your pan wet. Go rock hounding. Get outside. Be adventurous. Now, if I could find my credits, there we go. It's not as easy as StreamYards. I should start using that, but I'm so set in my ways. We go by inches here, Brad. Yeah, we're standard, you know, us Yankees. Get away from that metric, you Aussie. All right. Have a great one, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
We're out of here.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Heath. All things country, Brad. David, yeah. OnlyFans. You can confirm, that's right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.